Okay, so
Thank you. Oh, no.
you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to just mute yourself and
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Paul Kearse is here.
Yeah, I don't have any video on this for some reason.
Yeah, I don't either.
Let's see.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey, Wayne.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Greg.
Morning.
Can you guys see me?
No, there's no video at all.
Oh, okay, okay.
Got Carol's forehead. There you go.
Well, I don't mind no video because I'm trying to get ready to leave the country here, and I still got packing to do. So,
Are you leaving the country for pleasure, or are you being asked to leave the country?
well, I call it the country. I'm actually only going to New York, but getting out of my home country of Cohasset.
Got it.
Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Yeah, it seems to be really like not wanting to work today, doesn't it? Huh.
Or this month, or this whole month.
Yeah, I know.
We could, right, can't we? Like a telephone call.
Yeah, but we can't see who's on. Can't see any of that stuff.
Oh, so someone like a selectman meeting.
Yeah, well.
Oh, I'm sorry, select board.
And Carol, is Scott going to be joining us?
I did send him the invite this morning.
Sorry.
I believe Scott's connected right now, Carol.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? Good morning.
Good morning.
Hold on, I'm coming.
I think we're going to throw you on first, given the news that we got.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah,
He's
sounds
on.
like you're in the bunker.
I'm at a project that's under construction, so I'm in a brand new lab that has nothing in it. Scott is on and he can hear us.
Huh. Okay.
I think Carol's just got to suggest he unmute.
Unmute. Let's try that.
Yeah.
There you go.
There he is.
Good morning. Oh,
There's the man of the hour.
where is he?
This is Brian on here. I don't know if everyone's getting the same thing, but I don't have like a split screen. I just have whoever's talking their name come up.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, we got nothing.
I don't know if you can do anything about that, Carol.
I'm working on it.
Thanks. So I guess I guess I'll talk about the membranes, or Scott, if you want to start off with like the performance or what happened this past weekend, then we can talk about kind of game plan going forward.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I sent the email along.
Hey, we gotta call the meeting to order first, guys.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right. Yep. So I didn't know we weren't there yet.
Everyone's on mute, so everyone has to unmute who wants to speak. Bill and Wayne. Video is up.
There we go.
All right, so it looks like we lost Wayne.
Hold on.
Yeah. But Bill, can you unmute?
Can you
Brian,
hear me?
yep, and Brian needs to unmute.
And Carol, did Michelle ever get back to you?
Michelle.
Michelle Leary?
I'm sorry? Oh, no,
Michelle.
she did not.
Wayne's got his hand up, but you're on mute, Wayne.
But can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, because I wasn't able to before. So can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you, Carol.
you're welcome.
I guess
All right, Brian, do you want to go ahead?
I guess I'm the
He's
only
still
one.
me. Oh, there he is.
Did you guys call the meeting to order?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wayne Stock. Hi.
When, I'm sorry, when's the next meeting going to be?
The 3rd of January.
All right. Thank you.
Carol, could
Go
you
ahead,
try
Brian.
to promote me to panelist? I saw it flash up, but I wasn't quick enough to hit the button.
Did it get you?
Yep,
Yeah,
I got it. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
You'll have to do that for Bill and Wayne because their cameras aren't on either.
Yeah, you gotta be quick on the draw. It shows up for like 2 seconds and you have to click on join as panelist or it goes away. So I guess, again, Scott, I'll give you the floor for a minute. If you could just kind of go over what occurred last weekend with the nor'easter and the, the almost 2 inches of rain and what happened with the plant relative to the membranes. You get that, Scott?
I'm sorry, I got promoted to panelist and kind of jumped in and didn't hear half of what you said. So
Yeah, no, I was just saying, if you can kind of go over what happened last week's nor'easter, because we have
Yeah.
almost a mirror image coming this weekend.
Absolutely.
It's actually we have more tide coming in as well.
Yeah. So Friday night, we got called in high levels in the aeration tanks, high level in the influent. Saturday we took the rain. So in that 12 to 15 hour period, we took in 1.85 inches of rain. On top of that, for whatever reason, when I came in, and all day Saturday, the marsh was completely filled, which I haven't seen that in a while. Along with that parking lot where they're working down by the Atlantic, that whole parking lot was underwater as well. Not the whole parking lot, but where they're working, where the manholes are. So we just took in a whole bunch of water all of a sudden Friday night, and it overwhelmed the plant. Plant's not able, as we spoke about the last meeting, the plant's already at less than desired performance. It's struggling. And right now it hasn't gotten any better. So it's not right now. We've been averaging 400 to 500 gallons a minute since Friday. We can't do more than 500 to 600 gallons a minute right now making water. So if we are taking in more than that, we can't produce it. It backs everything up. And, that's what happened this weekend. And unfortunately, it took till 9:30 Sunday night for us to get back to normal levels. And unfortunately for me and the staff, that means somebody has to be here. So we're just trying to figure out where we are with membrane, Suez, because I haven't reached out to them to talk to anybody, but at some point, we're going to have to get them involved, talk to them to come down here, maybe to look, see what's going on. But you're right, we're going to be in the same situation Friday, and we're very close to having to use the diversion valve. We were very close this storm, but it's like I said, it's not getting any better. What are we doing about it? We're cleaning side 2 right now as we speak. We cleaned one cassette yesterday. We're in the process of cleaning one. We're going to have 4 cleaned before Friday for side 2. So we're hoping that's going to help us get through this storm. And we're taking week by week at the moment, and going from there. I'll stop for questions or comments.
Scott, thank you first of all for your efforts. But if you were to give us a percentage of what the operating capacity is it rated by 20%, 50%? Do you have an idea?
Presently, as we speak, you are just about 50% capacity and getting less.
Has work started on the diversion for the 78 Elm Street down in the parking lot area? Has that already been opened up, and could any of that water be going into what they're doing?
I spoke with someone at Delbrook, the site super, Phil, yesterday, and told him that we need the sequence of events with the exact, bypass piping. We talked about what he was planning to do, and I said, well, you need to put it in writing. So I don't think anything's been opened up. I think what you're looking at down there are well points next to where they need to dig. It's not, those aren't actual chambers, where you see kind of protrusions coming through the ground.
Okay.
I'll confirm that on site after this meeting.
Yeah, because that may just have to be postponed in terms of the weather conditions and stuff, because everywhere you look in Cohasset and Situate, everything is at its highest levels that I've seen in years almost.
Yeah, I'll call Phil and meet him on site after this, but I did mention, I said we need the sequence of events with a time frame for each detail of the sequence, and also make sure that you have a mitigation plan for floodplain, and make sure there's a weather, a 10-day good weather window before you proceed. So that discussion happened yesterday, so I don't imagine they opened up anything today.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Now imagine they're the same. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Scott.
No, they're the same people. That's the same contact as the other side of the street, correct? Because I know they do a lot of pumping of water over there as well. And I know they're kind of just, from what I see, they're just moving it from one side of the site to the other, is what it kind of looks like. But I know they do a lot of pumping over there too. I just don't know where it's going.
All the pumping they're doing on site is all just groundwater in there. I think they're treating it through filter bag and then discharging into the storm drain system. But there should be zero pumping as of yet of sewage.
Okay. Now, is there a possibility that we need to send some effluent to Hull?
I think that option is always on the table.
Well, the other one I was thinking about is,
I can barely hear you, Bill, if that's you talking.
Right?
Yeah, I can. So Scott, do you have a contingency plan for this weekend if we have to divert to Hull? Do you reach a certain capacity and make that decision ahead of time?
Unfortunately, no. It's more of a so every storm, every situation is different. It's all based on wet well level, current conditions. How much longer are we going? Is it raining? Is it not raining? for me, I've always thought that we're doing everything we can to make sure we don't use it. I know we can, but we always try not to use it. So we've only used it one time. So there's no real set, okay, if we hit this or we hit that, because sometimes the level's gonna, like this weekend, the level got to where it was, but I knew the rain had stopped. I was comfortable where we were. We were maintaining. We weren't gaining, but we weren't losing either. So it's, I hate to say it's a feel, you know, but you kind of have to know, you know, different levels, how, you know, duration, that kind of stuff. So short answer, no, there's no real, hey, this number, let's do it.
Okay.
But we certainly could. I mean, if the decision is made, hey, let's just do it, you know, we could certainly say, hey, once the wet well gets to this number, you know, let's just do it. Because I know if we don't do anything about it, we will use it, you know. So we could have that conversation as well.
I don't know where you are capacity wise when this storm hit. Were you at 100% capacity, or you were overwhelmed, and you know, where did it stand for how long? Was it like 5 hours you were at 100% capacity? Or
when you say 100, like you say capacity, you mean all the levels are full?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're at what point do you you know, see it to where if we wait another hour, we're going to be underwater here, so we better start pumping the hull? I mean, I know that we're allocated so much per day, but the facility has a much higher capacity to handle things like this. So I'm just curious as to where you're comfortable, you know, kind of drawing a line. And did you hit that line this weekend, you know?
We got close. We got close. And you know, perfectly honest with you, Paul, that line gets closer and closer every time. But you know, it's again, it's all timing. It's all what's happening, when is it happening? You know, but we were very close this weekend because we just could. And what I think I failed to mention in my email and in my opening statement, if you will, is that on Saturday, not only did we do almost 700,000 gallons, but we had to pump 50,000 gallons of liquid out of here. We had truck after truck after truck coming in here. We pumped 48,000 gallons out of the aeration tanks as well. So that's another factor of something that we did to not go into diversion.
Scott, with all this being said, and I'll ask Brian and Dan to weigh in on this. You know, we've got two properties that, you know, looking to get connected at some point. You know, we have no idea what Suez is doing, or whether I'm presuming Michelle has tried to contact them. I don't know that, but you know, somehow we have to light a fire under their pants. But should we look at doing something with the connections to the Cook Estate and the CJC? I mean, you know, if we're going over the edge and sending stuff to Hull, you know, I'd welcome your comments on this.
Yeah, you know, my opinion would be absolutely. I mean, with any more flow until we can stabilize the membranes and have confidence. I mean, we just cleaned them the first and second weeks of November, and now we're in the first and second weeks of December, third week. So a month ago, we generally clean them every 6 months. So if they didn't last a month, you know, we can clean them right now. And will we be in the same situation a month from now? Yeah, probably. That's, you know, so anything that we could do to lessen the flow coming to the facility would help us out immensely.
So Scott, let me ask you a question. This comes down to really the choke point is the membranes that are prematurely failing. Is that correct?
That's correct. Their inability to produce water.
Right. So, and just looking at the spec documents, the purchase spec documents, they were designed to take a 1.17 MGD maximum daily flow. And you just said you had you were doing 400 to 500 gallons a minute. And that's less than, you know, that's like 0.6 MGD. So they're clearly not at 1.1, they're at 0.6, and you're saying getting worse. So we're only 2 years in. I mean, the bottom line of this whole discussion is we have membranes that are prematurely failing. And Greg and I talked within the last hour about, getting a letter out to Suez as soon as possible to notice them. But, we have a 10-year, reading the spec, we have a 10-year prorated warranty on these. So we're in year 8 effectively from the system startup. So as soon as we get them to remedy what the issue is, the better. But on the collection system, I think this weekend, I think we should probably get an operation plan. It's a 2-valve operation to bypass to Hull. Basically, you open the valve that's at the end of Jerusalem Road by West Corner, and then you close one of the valves going towards the plant. And we can decide, how far we want to go. You can either go to Nichols Road, or you can go all the way to the Common. I would suggest not going all the way to the Common because system pressures might be a little high. That's when we had a break.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I'd say, just back pocket. Let's have, Scott, we can email after, but we'll have an operations plan together. So open the valve at Jerusalem Road and then go back and close the valve at Nichols, and then check the meter at the end of Jerusalem Road. That'll basically take some burden off of the plant. But I think the main thing we need to do this week, I think, is get some sort of notice to Suez officially through law, the legal counsel to,
While we're doing the legal counsel thing, and maybe, Rob, you might have a way of getting somebody. There's got to be somebody high up at Suez that we could contact and get them here next week. We can't keep. I mean, the weather's only going to get worse. It's not like we're going to have sunshine and roses next week. So we got to get this thing fixed. And I'm wondering, is there somebody we can talk to within the hierarchy of Suez and light them up a bit on this? Maybe, there are all sorts of things we can do, but I mean, and legal is one of them. But they just don't seem to be. I'm presuming again that Michelle talked to them or contact them. I mean, and I. I'm sure Woodward has been doing something, but they don't seem to have any response to us. I mean, and why?
Bill, Bill, I did talk to Brian earlier this morning, and it is my understanding that attorneys in our office are aware of this situation and are working on it. So as soon as we're done with this meeting, and now that I have a little bit more information about how dire the circumstances are, I will get in touch with them and see if there's anything we can do on the legal end to move this thing along as quickly as possible.
One thing I think that we have to do as some level of preventive action. I think, Scott, we're going to have to schedule this cleaning once a month, and I don't know if that's something that we could track the costs and the hours on and be able to recoup that from Suez as part of this remedy for the failure of the product that's under warranty. So I don't, you've already said you did it in November, you had to do it again now. I would think that we would have to do something each month.
Yeah, that's a good point, Paul. But I would also even add to that by saying, Woodward should be tracking all the costs of pumping, all the stuff that we have to do to basically anything that is remediation to this, because this is not the town's fault. It's something with the warranty. But should we also notify, or maybe just even common courtesy, notify Hull what's going on and tell them that we're going to start diverting?
So may I interject a couple of things, Bill?
You can inject as much as you want.
Thank you. I'm at Hull as I speak, so I can make arrangements to pre-warn about a potential diversion. I'll do that today. A couple of interesting things. I mean, it's 1.1. The system's designed about $500,000. and Scott made, you know, over 700,000 for, I think, 3 consecutive days. So it's making water, it's making design, it's not maxing out the permeability of the warranty, which we see, which is the coverage for the high level. But the one thing that's very interesting is the marsh it went from dry to 100% full, and the tidal gates closed. And I guess I'll direct this one to Brian. How do you think all that water got in there? Was it simply the 2 inches of rain?
Yeah, it was all storm water. So, you know, just to throw another monkey wrench, which is not in the purview of this, but the tide gate is broken. We've been waiting for a specialized worm gear, which we're picking up in Athol, Mass this morning and trying to fix that hopefully before Friday. But at any rate, the only release of water from Jacobs Meadow is through a 48-inch flap check valve. So compare a 48-inch circle to a, you know, 10-foot by 6-foot rectangle, which is the main tide gate. It's a lot less capacity. So when you have a lot of rain coming down the watershed, that watershed takes about 15% of the land area of Cohasset, flows down James Brook and, you know, into that meadow. So when you have that much rain in a short period, it floods.
Okay, thank you. Couple other things. We went through all the missions graphs, and none of the pump stations were affected, you know, based on run times and cycles and stuff. Because we have missions communication in every station now, so we can see the start, stop, cycles, flows, gallons. And not one of the stations was inundated. Which will
Brian,
help.
Brian, can that worm gate be manually operated? Is there any way of getting that gate open to relieve more flow?
No, it's the drive nut and a worm gear. So really, the drive nuts, it's a double threaded stem, and it's the actual nut that spins that stem. So
it can't just be unbolted and raised with a backhoe or something like that? Nothing like that?
Not without, no.
Yeah, we don't want to
taking it all apart. So go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. When was the last time we did a citric clean? Rob or Scott?
I'm sorry again?
A citric clean?
Citric clean has not been done this year. Nope. Maintenance, let me rephrase.
Yeah.
We do weekly maintenance cleans with citric acid,
right,
for both sides. We haven't done a dip tank of citric acid like we do with the hypo.
Yeah, I mean, when you do the hypo, you're getting good recovery?
We do, yes. Yep. Even last month, I mean, they came right back as soon as we cleaned them. They just didn't last. They're getting, you know, I've seen 2 of them. All right, we pulled one yesterday, we pulled one today, and they don't look so terrible, except everything's clogged at the top, the very top of all the cassettes. Obviously, that's where they all pull from. But they're not trashed up. They're not, you know, we don't seal. There's not a lot of sludging in them because we just cleaned them a month ago.
Okay.
So
the ones you had problems with the delamination, are those isolated?
No, because it's the delamination is pretty much throughout them. So
okay, so you're still using all the membranes then?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And Dan, just a little additional information. He tried the citric in place clean. What he's been doing is trying an extended one, not removing it, but just extending the cycle itself to get more citric acid to the membranes.
Right.
And the TMPs showed no effect at all with that.
Okay.
And historically, you know, citric acid's never really shown a huge effect here.
Right. Just if you haven't done it in a long time, sometimes it does build up. But if the extended clean wasn't showing anything at all, it's probably fine with the hypo.
On the monthly cleaning, that's going to be tough to do. Only a couple of reasons. One, you know, it takes 2 weeks to do one side. So you're talking, and then you need to be able to take a week to kind of recover from that. You have to clean out the dip tank where these go in. You have to refill everything, and then another 2 weeks. So, I mean, we certainly will continue to do it because that's what we're going to do to make sure we get through this. But I just want you to realize that if we're going to do this every single month, that's all we're going to be doing. So we're going to be constantly cleaning because it takes a month to 5 weeks to do an actual clean on both sides.
Right, and the cleaning process does reduce your efficiency too, right? The capacity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Because
maybe it's every 6 or 8 weeks.
Absolutely. We're like I said, we will clean them as much as we possibly can to make sure we're producing water.
Any one side worse than the other?
Well, side 2 is a lot worse than side 1, but it was cleaned. It was the first one we cleaned a month ago. So, that's telling me a couple things that side 1 isn't very far behind side 2 if we don't clean it sooner. But yeah, it's just it's acting just like it did a month ago when we had to clean them. Side 2 was failing quicker than side 1, and it's just on that course now because we've always cleaned inside 2 first.
And the solids are pretty balanced on both sides, roughly.
The solids are balanced. Yep, no issues with that. Solids are where they usually are in that 11 to 13. I think we're currently at like 12 right now. One thing I haven't really brought up too that we need to maybe mention to bring out to Suez is that we saw a huge reduction in performance ever since they recommended that we change over to those LEAP aeration skirts. And when we placed those on, that's when we saw all these problems. And we've been recovering from that ever since. We've since, like I've said before, we've gone back to the old skirts. All of those are gone, but that's something that, we may want to, at least look at, mention to them that's could be part of the problem. I don't know, but it's another factor in the case that, we kind of went south when we put on these LEAP aeration skirts that they recommended that we put on.
Scott, how often does Suez get in touch with you to say, how are we doing and are these things working okay?
They haven't this year.
Wonderful.
Never would be pretty fair.
There's not a whole lot of interaction unless I reach out. And, like I said, I haven't reached out to anybody screaming, telling the whole world that we're having issues because I want, to see where we're going. But if that's something that you guys, if you want me to reach out to Matt and let him know we're having issues that put a fire or, you want to wait for lawyers.
Yeah, I guess I'd pose that question to Greg. I mean, do you think we should stand tight until you guys hear something, or should we attack them from 2 sides, or what do you think?
Given the discussion here and how dire the situation is, if you have a high up contact and you think that making that contact will, help move things along, I encourage you to do that. And we will simultaneously, do whatever we can to move the situation along. I think, however many fronts we need to attack this from, it sounds like we need to exhaust all of those possible remedies.
I mean, I'm not sure if I heard it, but I mean, have we contacted them and notified them of the problem yet? Has anyone?
Since we started the call, Michelle sent an email that said she has reached out to, I think it was KB Law, and she hasn't heard back, and she's going to reach out again today. It came like about 15 minutes ago, she sent it.
So KP Law, that's my town council. And so Brian and I talked about it this morning. I have since identified the attorney that Michelle contacted, and I sent him, his name is Matt Fair. I sent him an email this morning while we have been in this meeting, saying that this is an emergency situation, and he needs to be in touch with you guys right away. So that's the legal response. We'll get that going. But in the meantime, if no one has reached out to the contractor yet, I would suggest doing that as well right away. So there may be an amicable resolution to this that we're just not aware of at this point.
So Rob, when have you guys first noticed the failures? I don't know if it was a clean in like early fall or something like that, and you had reached out to them. Didn't they say something like put some caulking on it or something like that?
Yeah, we reached out to Matt Stapleford, showed a bunch of pictures and stuff, and he goes, "Oh, it's delaminating. You better put silicone on it." But I mean, it wasn't an isolated area. It was a very passive response.
Right. So, I mean, just as far as notice goes, I would say that would probably be prior notice, although it's, it wasn't to the level that I think we need to now. But, if we're going to put a date on it, I would put that date on it.
Okay.
Yeah. And Rob or Scott, whoever puts a call to your local rep, I mean, I would have them be here next week, and because I'd be happy to meet with them as well, just to, show support. I mean, I won't know what I'm talking about, but, I think we got to get somebody here next week, the latest.
After this call, we'll place a call to Matt Stapleford, let him know everything that's going on, see what his reaction is, and see if he can get a field tech out here. Because they do have a local service tech.
I would say, Bill, just from your perspective, you spent $1 million and you're $200,000 into it, and you're leaving $800 on the table. That's basically.
Yeah,
that's the summary. Yep, absolutely.
And when are they coming to fix it? When are they coming to replace them? Would be my question.
Yeah, I mean, the last go around, we had to go to Belgium to get them just because of all the, everything that was going on. They potentially could have some local. And we don't even know that. So that's another conversation as well.
Okay. Yeah, well, keep us up to date on that, certainly, but
sure.
What you hear from them, and
I guess before we end the conversation, I just want to kind of put a framework for Greg and the legal counsel. I would, if we're going to do a notice of demand letter, I would say, start off with like full replacement of the membranes, and let them come back with remedies.
Yeah, you're going to need membranes, so might as well start that in the works right away, so they can start looking around for them.
All right, if we want to start off with the, the most advantageous position to the town, and then, negotiate from there if necessary. But, we'll review the warranty information, and, it may be that you're entitled to a new membrane based on the condition. But, I also, like I said, let's get their field tech out here, because maybe there is something that they can do, even in the short term to alleviate some of the emergency.
One thing that I think what Covered had referenced earlier was the leaf skirts. And I'd add something along that line in there, indicating the potential that the leaf skirts advance the deterioration of the membranes. And hopefully that would actually buy you a little bit more versus just the straight warranty. So
a question for Rob. Do you have any other clients using the Suez membrane system? And if so, are they having any issues like this?
Not that I know of, not this generation, Bill. I know there was a ton of problems in Victorville when they went away from xenon membranes or Suez membranes, and they've since gone back to them in its entirety. So this generation of replacement ones, I do not know of.
Okay.
So Rob, you're going to try and contact these folks on the membrane, the local rep, to find out what's going on, or are we just going to wait for the attorneys to talk to each other? And then you're going to contact Hull to let them know if possible.
I will let Hull know today
that
it possibly could happen in, through the northeastern storm. Yep. I will meet up with Scott today as well, and we will place a call to Matt Stapleford to start conversations. And then we'll send you guys an email collectively.
Okay, so you're going to work it from the bottom up, and Greg's going to work it from the top down.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you guys for everything.
No, thank you guys
Just,
for all your
hey, Rob, just
yeah.
Sometime in January, can we get an update on the barn doors and the roof?
Yes, could we actually speak of the roof as we speak right now? So we got that quote in, and as you can imagine, that roof, Bill, you saw it a couple weeks ago. That was pouring in. We had more water in the influent building. My fear is once we get snow packed up on there, we're gonna have some serious issues up there. So I did provide a new quote from another contractor, and I was hoping maybe we would have a resolution on that. Not sure.
Is that something Michelle has to go off a bid on, or is that something that we can make a decision on?
We actually have 3 quotes now, and this one came in at prevailing, at the prevailing wages. So I think in good faith, you could move forward.
Yeah, I think it's a quotable value. What was the low one on there?
Low was the guy that never called back and came around. That was, how much was that, Scott?
10,
like
10,
it's all
12, somewhere in there.
Yeah, mass procurement law, under 50, you can do 3 quotes or better. So we're good to go.
And we do have 3, and they're viable with the wages and everything. So it was like 10 and then 40 something and then 20 something.
Okay. Who do you recommend, Rob or Scott?
At this point, I would recommend the $20,000 one that's ready to go.
Yeah.
And past history, he actually did the Cohasset water plant. They have an office fairly close to here, and it's very ironic how we found him. He sent me an email, just one of them, "Hi, we do roofs, you need anything?" So I called him, and as luck would have it, he used to work in an office very close to here, did the water plant, knows the town really well, and would love to come back and work.
What's the name of his company?
Scott, you got that?
Yeah, that's Art. I don't have it right in front of me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the $20,000 expenditure to have the roof fixed as quickly as possible.
I'll second. We'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kears, aye.
Wayne Sawchuk, aye.
Thank you very much, you guys. And as to the doors, we can speak very quickly. The company came out, they measured, they were, very excited to get going. They even asked Scott if he could leave his ladder, which they did. And
so his equipment's here. So his original plan was to take the door down, bring it to his shop, make one, and bring it back. But he scrapped that idea. He came back out with another guy. They did all the measurements. He said they're going to go back. They're going to build the doors. They're going to bring both doors here, remove the old ones, put the new ones on, and get rid of the old ones. And like Rob alluded to, he said, "Oh, do you mind if I leave my ladders here until I come back?" I said, "Absolutely, leave them right here." So I would imagine he's working. I haven't heard from him, but I'm imagining they're building them, and he should be back relatively soon to hang them.
Wow.
Yeah, why don't you call him and wish him a happy holiday and ask him when he's coming back by January 3rd, will you?
That's not a bad idea. I will certainly.
What's it been, 5 years now, Scott?
I've been here almost 10 years. So
are you going to count 2023?
Yeah.
It's a great idea to just reach out. I agree.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, bye.
Now, do we know, Dan, if the meter to measure the flow to Hull is working now or would be working?
It should be. Scott maintains that, but he's gone now. So
okay, so we still use it for the flow that comes down Hull Street?
Yeah, the only thing is that, occasionally we don't use it for billing purposes. It's only for monitoring purposes.
Right.
You know, the only thing that happens on that occasionally is the gel on the contact of the probe. You know, just erodes away if it's not if it's underwater.
Okay.
And they have to occasionally just change that out. So
how do we measure the flow that's going to go to Hull?
So
if it goes to Hull,
I'll send the ops plan around. I'll copy you guys. But basically, in that 2-valve operation, he goes to the meter cabinet, does the meter read. It should probably be somewhere around, I don't know, like 8,000 gallons, maybe somewhere around there, 8,000 gallons a minute. And then he opens the valve at the end of Jerusalem Road. And then he goes to Nichols Road. He'll slowly close that as he has in the past, prevent any water hammer, and then go back and do another read. And it should be, you know, that segmented amount, it should be within the agreement to Hull. I mean, it's good to give them notice, but it's, I think it's probably going to be under the 80,000 gallons a day.
Okay.
In terms of billing, it's typically on water use, though.
Oh yeah, for the billing purposes on water use, but I think the actual volume, you know, we have historical data from when we did the diversion before, and it should be in that magnitude of. Like,
okay, good. I just didn't know if there was going to be, you know, that we would have a good idea of how much is going there.
Brian, are you anticipating doing that early?
Sorry, Dan?
Are you anticipating to do that early?
Early,
or you mean wait until we need it?
You know, I'll leave it up to Scott, but I'll just email the, you know, the valve sheets and kind of the instructions, and then leave it with Scott, you know, when he goes to deploy it.
Yeah, just on a flow reversal, sometimes there's a higher potential for a blockage, or, you know, something gets stuck in a valve. So it's always good to do it a little bit premature, so that you're not worrying about it at the time when it's critical.
Sure.
And do you think that worm gear, you might have that repaired? Because it seems like that tended to be the biggest influence on the plant, was the flooded marsh.
So the that gear is being picked up this morning. So it's just a matter of whether our installer can do it prior to Friday.
Okay.
It's really, they have to take the entire operator off and you know, put it on the stand.
Yeah, obviously in terms of bypass pumping and extra time and hours, you know, it'd be good to try to incentivize his repair.
Well, we do know that when the marsh is full of water, the flow into the plant is significantly higher than when the gate was closed and the amount of water wasn't going into the marsh. So, you know, clearly that's going to be one of the intakes of the plant, is the height of the water.
Yeah, the more water.
Yeah, guys, should we move on?
Yes.
We have an abatement at 734 Jerusalem and 553.
He's actually not here. He didn't come.
Oh, he's not.
So the other was Teresa Gillis, and she is actually on the meeting, and she actually wants to speak to regarding her abatement.
That's fine if you want to put her on.
I did. I'm asking her to unmute.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. And clearly this is secondary to the issues you have at hand, gentlemen. So thank you for your time. I'm requesting a $2,000 abatement on my sewer bill. There's one person living at that house. I installed an irrigation system in July of 2022. And clearly I was unaware you needed a second meter. No one mentioned that when I installed the irrigation system. I did extensive renovation to the home, and I'm not, honestly, I think that I didn't use $2,500 worth of sewage usage in that house for 2 months. It is incredulous to me that the abatement wouldn't be, you know, considered. And I do plan to get a new irrigation, I believe, meter specifically for irrigation on the property. that's my story.
So is the new meter put in right now or no?
No, it's not. Again, we just found out about all of this in November. And that said, what I'm going to do is when I turn the irrigation back on in April of 2023, the new meter will be installed.
Okay, so that you'll be, okay, so you're not going to come in the spring and say, gee, somehow my water is more than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, no, there's no, to be honest with you, I live at the house for 6 months of the year. There's one person living at the house. To expect or to believe that sewage went through, or that system for, I'm thinking it was 2 months. That was what the bill was, and it's just no. I will be getting a second meter definitely for irrigation when I turn on the system. I've spoken to Brenda about it.
Is there a reason why you're waiting till April to do the second meter?
Well, she said you do it when you turn on the system. So the system is off. The irrigation system is off right now.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very happy to put a second meter in there. It doesn't bother me when it's done, but she seemed to suggest that it would be better to do it when, in fact, it was, when you're turning on the system, because that's when you have to tie it into.
Well, they probably want to test it is the reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, it's the paperwork that's going to happen is, it takes a few weeks or a month to have the paperwork go through the water department, who's reading the water and sewer for the town. And so it would be wise to do it earlier than to try to do it the same day, because that you're going to come back and say, well, how much of this water lives to here or there or whatever. So
I am more than happy to comply with whatever, if you think 2 months out or 1 month out is more than sufficient, I am happy to do that at whatever juncture you tell me that, if it's a month, perfectly fine. We do it in March.
I think it would be wise to have it at least a month in advance. And the town, remember the town bills in the rears as well.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I will absolutely do that, and I'll work with Brenda to make that happen. But I think that it's quite startling. I just moved into the house in May of 2022. And when I received this bill, it was quite amazing. So I learned a very important lesson, and I wish that would have been communicated to avoid taking your time on something like this, because I wish somehow that communication needs to happen at the juncture of installing an irrigation system.
Well, if you could, in March timeframe, just send us an email confirming a second water meter would be put in.
Yep, absolutely.
It would be great to follow it up and close it out. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the abatement requested. Is it 5? Yeah, what's the address again? 552 or?
No, just my address is 55 Linden Drive.
Oh, the other one was the one guy who couldn't show up. Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 2 Jerusalem roads on my agenda. That's all.
Yeah.
Motion was made and seconded.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kears, aye.
Wayne Sawchuk, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. And hopefully you'll have good luck this coming weekend. It doesn't look, you've got your hands full.
Thank you.
Well, send us warm weather wherever you are.
I know. Thank you again very much.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
So we have a, next item is the Cook Estate. We have a quick update on that. I was going through my Cohasset email last night. Tom Flannery sent a marked up contract agreement between the two. I've sent it out to everyone. Sharon, I didn't send it to you, unfortunately. I'll send that to you as soon as we get off this call. I didn't see a whole lot of stuff in there. It looked pretty much the same. So I would suspect, a quick read and let us know what you think. And, in our next meeting, we can just vote for it. I think we're pretty much done with them. I haven't heard an update from Tom as to what they're doing with respect to the electric panel, or anything else that was sort of outstanding. So that's kind of where we are with that one.
Did we receive comments on the easement as well?
I have not. I didn't see anything on that. No. Okay. All right. So, and it was like 10 o'clock last night when I was going through it. So I didn't probably read it as well as I should have. So I'll read it again and send it off to you.
I thought we talked about a month ago. We talked about not needing an easement if we only go to the pump.
Yeah. Yes, we did. I didn't see that in there, so I don't really want to comment one way or another. But I'll read it this afternoon and get back to everybody.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, now we have a CJC update.
If we just go back to the one minor thing is I just want the board to remember that when it comes to the privilege and hookup fee, there's 2 properties that are going to be hooked up. So we haven't talked about the Hagees property in a while, so that has to be paid separately than the Cook Estate. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, but I think they're paying for it.
Correct. I'm just saying it's two applications, 2 transactions. Doesn't matter where the check comes from, as long as
okay.
Yeah, as long as the transactions are separate, so we can document it on our end as 2 properties.
Yep.
So, yep.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So now we have CJC.
Yeah, not too much has transpired on our end. They put in the temp panel, and that system's running at 380. And once they have the final panels, I'm assuming we're going to do a formal startup.
When do you anticipate that, Dan?
I haven't got an update on the delivery of the panels yet.
Okay.
Don's on and Jeff's on. I'm not sure if they know.
Yeah, Donald, do you have an update as to when this deliveries will be in?
They said now the middle of January. That's what we got last week. The problem is the components from Square D to finish the panel.
Okay. Now, are you is 380 on sewer at this point?
Yes.
And Pam, are you satisfied with where you are and relative to 380 coming off septic and on sewer?
I'm just gonna have to talk to John about that, just to clear it with him.
Okay.
DEP's been notified this, and they have no issues. They know we're on a temporary panel. They said they really wasn't their concern, just that we're on sewer.
Thank you.
Don, while I have you, any update on 400 when that transition is going to occur?
Well, as soon as we get the panel, we'll do 400. But as you realize, off-the-shelf control panels, 7,000. The panels that Dan required us to do are $58,000. So the temporary control panel, I wish I could have somebody buy it once I bring in the permanent one, but the vendor won't take it back.
So it'll be mid-January for 400?
Yeah, both panels will come simultaneously. They're just waiting for the Square D components to come so they can finish. They're all manufactured and everything, but that's what they're waiting for.
Okay.
There's some circuits and some circuit breakers that they're waiting for, so they can have everything hooked up and operating just like the 390 panel.
And there could be some weather issues. So DEP has given us an extension until April 1st to complete 400.
Okay. Can you forward a copy of that to us?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jeff, I'll scan it and send it over.
Okay.
Anything else, CJC?
Bill, I think that at the last meeting we started a discussion which I think was pushed off to today because Paul was not available for it.
I was going to bring it up. Is that you're talking?
Yeah. Say again, Bill?
Yeah, I was going to bring it up. You're talking the peak flow?
The peak hourly flow. Yes, not daily, hourly. Yep.
Well, I think what I said was that rather than having people outside of like whose engineer is better than whose engineer, that the development could make an application to this board that would reasonably give us what we want without necessarily following the letter of the contract. I'm absolutely adverse to breaking any kind of contract once we've already signed it and agreed to it. However, if there is something we can do to mediate it, I'm open to it. But it has to be something that is approved by our engineer and by the town.
Yeah, so we're looking for a request with some detailed engineering data behind it to where the peak daily flows would be adequate for the data that we need to capture versus the hourly flow, and we would make an amendment to the agreement.
And Dan, do you have any comment on that?
And the whole thing is pretty much like a safety condition that we have in here. I mean, we could also look at it in terms of having an annual monitoring requirement, like install a flow meter in the gravity system that captures all 3 of the systems. Leave it in there for a month and then look at the data, during springtime or something like that. So, I mean, there are some other controls we could put in place that would probably be a little bit simpler from them to monitor. It would just be something they would have to, hire someone to do a flow monitor.
Would that give you what you want, and would that comply with the contract?
It's not going to comply fully with the contract because you're not going to get it 365. But if you do the monitoring during, what should be a peak flow period, like May of each year or something like that, you may be able to evaluate the system and see, what potential impacts it has on your pumping stations.
So it gets us the data we need. And I think that would satisfy us. And we can amend the section of the contract.
Yeah, I think we should have an application from the developer as to how they're going to do this, and let us look at it in our next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, let them put something together, but I just wanted to throw, an annual monitoring type of thing as a potential option.
Okay.
And we'll talk to Mr. Negrati about that. Thank you.
Yep. Anything else on CJC? No. 1 Pleasant Street.
So I'm here, Jeff DeLisi. As you know, I represent the owners of 1 Pleasant, and I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around, since there is a increase in the anticipated flow into the system, you have a section of your regulations, which is like section, I think 300 or 303, which contemplates the requirement of filing an application. In this case, we have, as you know, long since paid off our betterment. So we're looking for an understanding prior to making formal application as to how this fee would be calculated. The commission had previously requested that I provide a letter with comparing existing versus proposed flows, as well as providing floor plans. I've done that. And so I happen to note that this being in the central district, the way that the commission has dealt with similar issues in the past is to apply the original betterment amount, but increased by an inflationary index, and then applied to whatever the increase in the use was. So I attempted to do that consistent with the way the commission has dealt with other properties. What I happen to note here, interestingly, because the prior building was not built, it's an old building, and so it was not built to current standards. Since we're staying essentially in the same footprint with the new building, a lot of the space on the first floor, the retail office space, has been modified such that the hallways are wider and the common spaces are code compliant, and as a result of that, the amount of usable space for each retail and office use is less. So we have less square footage to work with, essentially. And so there's actually a decrease in the on the first floor from 1,829 gallons per day Title V design flow to 1,715 gallons a day total design flow. So my letter was kind of contemplating, since we're paid off and we have a betterment that we've been using that first floor, and we're actually going to be using less flow, that really what we're talking about here is the amount of flow that is being introduced by the residential units, and the design flow for the residential units was 2,420 gallons per day. And so applying the inflationary index, we came up with slightly less than $100,000 in an increase. And so that's in summary what I've come up with. And I'm anxious to hear how the board views this.
Well, my first question is, have you finalized how many seats will be in the restaurant?
The restaurant seats will not be finalized until the ultimate tenant applies for a building permit, and that has not happened. So in my conversation with my client, there was an estimate given of between 30 and 50 seats, I think it was. And so we based our number on the estimate, but I think the truest way to do that, obviously, would be to wait until there's a building permit application for that space, and then to see if there's any change. I can't give that to you right now, Bill.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of waiting to see what kind of restaurant will go in there, because we have to approve sewer before anything happens. So I'd like to find an average of maybe if it's 40 seats.
Well, that's what we did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I think you've seen my letter, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So the estimate was 30 to 50 seats. And so the average is 40 seats. And it just so happens that the pre-existing restaurant was a 40-seat restaurant.
Greg,
I think that's Well, I think that's fine. There are other instances in town where there's space allocated, but not, it's almost in the same thing, but we haven't done anything to say, give us what's going to be here and how many seats it's going to be and stuff like that. So I think it really makes sense to, he has to go for a permit to build out the space. And when he builds out the space, they're going to know how big it is and how many seats they're going to be.
Well, the good news is that we're more than 100 gallons per day estimated flow less on this new building under construction on the first floor than even with the estimate of 40 seats. So we have some flow to work with. I think from a restaurant perspective, it's 35 gallons a day per seat on the conservative estimate under Title V. So yeah, I tend to agree with you, Wayne.
Yes, you were saying the first floor is now 1,700 per day. Does that include the 1,400 per day the restaurant would have?
Yeah.
Under Title V? Okay. So the rest of the tenants wouldn't be generating that much.
Yeah. So for instance, there was more retail space in the prior building than the current building under construction. It's cut in half basically. And then there's less office space as well. And so, and the restaurant was a net no change. So, I mean, I think that it's really a sensible approach, I think, to view this from, well, the real change here with respect to this property really is the top 2 floors, because the first floor has always been dedicated to retail and office and restaurant use. And there's obviously a net decrease. I suppose if the commission wanted to consider a credit, but it's de minimis in my estimation.
Yeah, so we're not in the credit business that I'm aware of, but I certainly appreciate everything you've done on behalf of your client to help them understand taking an old existing building and redeveloping it into something that includes affordable housing. And I think what I would like to do is meet separately with the board and our council just to confirm how we're going to calculate the fees. I know that in the past some inflationary indexes were used, but I'd like an opportunity to confirm the formulation that either has worked in the past or we already have a fee structure in place we need to review. So that's kind of on it.
Yeah, we're in no rush really. The building, we have a building permit and we've obviously construction is underway, but we're quite a ways away from any certificate of occupancy application basically. So that's fine by us.
Yeah. Plus, there's going to be, Dan's going to have to go out there and take a look at it at some point. Even though it exists, we just have to make sure that it's going to be able to handle the flow, and so there'll be some inspection criteria, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we should, have a separate caucus on that. So, I agree.
Well, then I'll wait to hear from the board following your caucus, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, as well.
Yep.
You're welcome.
So our last piece of the agenda on this lengthy meeting today is 124 Elm Street. And I don't see anybody from that group here.
No. Bill, we do have one other abatement that I wanted to review, which was the 552 Jerusalem. I talked to Brenda and I did receive more information. regarding the change. They're looking for an abatement of $198.74. The issue was that they are on Hingham Water, and Hingham changed their water meter on the 8th, but they never updated their own system. So the issue is on their end, not on the homeowner's end. So the change wasn't made in the system, and that was due to Hingham.
So is it a paper exercise or what?
Yeah, so after Brenda spoke with them, they made the change in their system, so it'll be correct going forward. But the town's billing, like they're the ones that actually made the error, and it wasn't the homeowner.
So I move to approve the abatement for 552 Jerusalem Road.
Yeah, second.
All right, we'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kearsey, aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else we want to deal with?
But do you want to do the 124 Elm Street? I bring that up only, and I don't know if anybody's thrown it.
Oh, yeah.
That they have indicated, and it's on their plans, that they have two, I'm going to just call it business retail space, which of course was one of the ways that they were able to get the permits to be able to have a mixed use there. But there's no description of what they're going to do in those two spaces. And they're, with the fact that it's always been a restaurant and stuff, there may be a small restaurant there, or there may be anything else that part of it's supposed to be water related, like it ships, gear or something like that, but we don't know. So I just think that at some point in time, we should, ask them what's going to be going in here. And that was why I was sort of comparing it to One Pleasant Street. And that's under construction also. Any
so
comments?
We haven't gotten any plans or anything from them?
They didn't even apply for a sewer permit or an alteration of the sewer permit.
They have an obvious change of use of the property. I mean, it's going from a hotel to residential and mixed use retail. So at minimum, there should be that application for 124. I think the only one we got was the one across the street.
All right.
Not
we
sure.
We did talk about
the EDUs in the hotel, correct? Didn't we do that about a month or more ago? Well, they sent us they sent us their EDUs, and I don't know if we had data from the EDUs from the hotel from way back in the day.
A document was sent out that showed their betterment with the town of Cohasset that was paid off this year, I think the beginning of this year. And that indicated, really have to get it to get it, but that indicated not as many EDUs as people has been talking about. Remember at one point we said they had 40 EDUs?
Yeah.
But in fact, they didn't. And I don't know. And they, in fact, apparently, this almost seems like when it was sold 20 years ago, that the sewer utility came to light, and they put a number together, and it was about $6,200 per EDU. And on the other side of Elm Street, it is for one EDU. But of course, we know that there was retail and 4 apartments there. And on the hotel, it is listed as, I think, 10 EDU, in terms of the times the amount of money. But I have the copy of that document. I'll just get it together and have, show it to you, because
we got to compare the existing EDUs to the change of use for the property.
It would be nice for them to submit an application too before they finish.
My understanding is they were going to do that. Carol, you haven't received anything?
I have not.
Okay. The other thing is, though, with the 40 EDUs that they had, there's no way they're going to have that many on the redevelopment end. It's just not going to generate that many EDUs, so they should be well under that.
Yeah, but I don't think the number's 40 though, Dan.
Yeah.
The number is on the document that is from the assessors that the betterments were paid.
That's pretty big, 40 EDUs. I mean, I don't know if it was a 50 room hotel or what, but I haven't seen evidence that it was that high from the town side of it in any documentation. So I'd like to see what Wayne came up with.
Well, keep in mind that the building was built with a single sewer line when we had no EDUs. It did not exist. Okay. 20 years ago, there was a transaction that somehow indicated what their allowance on their sewer was and what it was going to cost them to go forward, because they weren't necessarily contributing fairly to the flows going through the town.
Yeah, there has to be an expense that's applied because we're, even if it's existing, they've made modifications and changes, and Dan's got to figure out if everything along the line is good to go. We can't just assume they're going to put a building on top of it and everything's going to work.
Yeah.
They need an application so they can tell us a little bit more what is going to be going in the non-residential units.
Yeah.
Because I think the condo's probably going to be 2 bedrooms or something, and there's not that many on that side of the road.
Yeah, it's 18 or 20, I think.
Yeah. Well, we should just get, if they come back to us, we need an application. So.
Well, so what's the 1 bedroom is, or 2 bedrooms? Is that, what do we count that as? 1 EDU, 2?
No.
1.
If it's 2 bedrooms, it's a half an EDU.
Half an EDU, okay. So
1 bedroom.
Yeah, so they're at 10 or 12 EDUs if we go by the 2 bedroom.
Right. But that's
we still don't know we don't know what's going on in their common space on the ground floor, like retail. And I think I've heard rumors that maybe having small restaurants or something to that effect, but we don't know what that is yet.
Okay.
Right. And that would be certainly an amenity for the condos themselves. So that very well be what someone does. And it is going to be the space in front of the building between that and the water is dedicated public space. So when you have the public have the ability to be able to walk in and do all that, having some sort of a restaurant makes sense. So.
All right, well, we'll wait. And then I think they should know that they have to do it. So, we'll just have to wait until the next time they get on the line and say, okay, we need an application from you.
Right.
Yeah, they already indicated that they were going to submit one. That's why I was curious if one was.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Okay. All right. I make
Anything
a motion
else?
to.
Steps, Buck here, second.
Yeah, Bill McGowan. Aye. All right,
Wayne
guys.
Sox.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and happy
likewise.
Yeah, happy
right.
New Year.
Yeah, really.
Merry Christmas.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.